So, welcome to iCan 2021. You don't have to see the whole staircase just to take the first step. Martin Luther King said that. And he accomplished great things. So, congratulations, you've taken the first step. You've taken action, which just by taking this one step, you have acknowledged that you want a bigger future for yourself. You want to aim higher. You want more out of life. And whether you started this journey to achieve financial freedom, a healthier lifestyle, lose a little weight, start a business, this journey will see those things unfold for you and then some. So first, I want to thank you for joining us for iCan 2021. With everything going on in the world, it's easy to stay focused on what is happening around you rather than focus on creating this extraordinary life. And therein lies the problem, focus. My vision with this group of ordinary people, you and me, is to see extraordinary lives unfold. This is a journey of a lifetime, and I hope you are ready for some radical transformation. You may have heard the term the law of attraction. It gained some popularity a few decades ago with the book The Secret. Unfortunately, it was presented in such a way that it seemed a little airy-fairy and you could wish yourself into having whatever you wanted. The truth is, there is some science behind those principles, and if you understand that, you actually can turn this physical body into a magnet for whatever you want. Literally, think of this as a magnet pulling in whatever you want. But we'll talk about more of that in a moment. You've all had a chance to introduce yourselves on the Facebook group. And this is where we will connect and support each other and deliver information. I'll email you as well, but connecting with the group every day because it will help you stay focused on the things that will allow you to see this extraordinary change. So before we start, I want to share a little bit about myself and how I came to have this vision of iCan 2021. I've had a truly amazing life, truly. And I'm old, so I've done a lot of things. I've been able to travel the world, follow my passion of training thousands of people, and that journey really started here in Wichita Falls. Back in 1996, I moved here from California the first time. I founded the first female-owned and operated mortgage company. And I did so well, moved back to California, and then started traveling the world, teaching and training, which was always my dream. Literally, it was an absolute dream of mine and passion. Well, guess what? Events beyond my control started happening in the world in 2008, just like they are happening now. And it was now a time to pivot and see things differently again. My life in the next 10 years after that had a couple of twists and turns and a new chapter in store for me. And it culminated in being diagnosed with cancer and actual financial devastation. I spent 2018 in bed, going through treatment and on food stamps and on assistance because I had no medical insurance and no way to work. Wow, that was pretty devastating. But you know what? As I look back, that was actually one of the best times of my life because I was able to focus on me, my health, and strip away everything that wasn't necessary in my life. I had one vision at that point, pretty big one. It was to recover with most of my body parts, which frankly, the doctors kept telling me that wasn't going to happen. And I said, no, you don't understand. I know how to heal my body. And I wish I would have done some other things and told them no much more often. But my other vision at that time was to move back to my beloved Wichita Falls. Everyone always asks why I moved back. And the reason is I knew that I could heal here. And I heard the whispers. So we'll talk about whispers later. I heard those whispers the first time I moved here. And this last time, they were there again. It's really just that simple. I heard these whispers. Now, there were other things, family, etc. And it was long before COVID that those whispers started telling me that I needed to move back to Wichita Falls. And I didn't know why. But I know now, because just to put a pin in this, I'm fully recovered from cancer, and I went from being destitute to live here, but I could not be in a better place right now. Absolutely. So being destitute on January 1, 2018 with no prospects and cancer, and not 1 year later, I was moving across the country, becoming debt-free, and generating over 6 figures in income last year. Now, I share this because if I can do it more than once, because I have, each of you has the power within you to create anything you desire if you follow some simple steps. And those steps are what I'm going to share with you during this next year. So, while I was traveling the world and training, I noticed something really interesting early on. I could deliver the same information to 2 people sitting right next to each other. One of them takes it and makes astounding change, and the other is in exactly the same place year after year after year. I said, I began to realize that it wasn't the information that I was providing. I mean, I can share tools on anything, how to lose weight, stop smoking, become wealthy. It's the mindset of the individual receiving the information that's the key to this. And just knowing how to do something doesn't get it done. Frankly, I know too many people, and I'm one of them. I can read a book, I can know how to do something. If I don't make that decision and then get out of my own way, get my mind in place to actually do it, it doesn't get done. So it began to become really abundantly clear that if I didn't share the tools about your mindset first, the rest of the strategies and techniques were not that important. So we're going to begin there. Don't worry, we're going to have 1 week of preparation because you're going to have 49 more weeks after this to dive into creating your amazing dreams. So each of you is here for your own special journey, and yet we're going to be taking it together. I like to use the metaphor of climbing Mount Everest. Ascending to a peak that is challenging, but that you don't begin without some preparation. And you certainly don't begin without a little bit of training. So imagine we're all at base camp. Some of you have climbed a similar peak before. Some of you, this is your first trip. And some of you are not sure why the heck you're even here. But we're going to start this process. On a Mount Everest climb, they have what are called Sherpas. They spend their whole lives guiding all types of climbers up the mountain. Sherpas have expertise and experience in climbing the mountain. They know the terrain, they've been up and down the mountain hundreds of times. And during these climbs, the Sherpas lead the groups because they can help each other when the climb gets tough. You can't make this climb without the help of other members of this group as well. Everyone in this group has something they bring to help us all reach the top. And my role as the Sherpa is to shepherd you up this mountain with knowledge and wisdom of what to expect. This journey will be unpredictable, so knowing what to watch out for and how to navigate those potential challenges is something that's really important, which is what a Sherpa does. Your role is to decide why you want to make this trek and then stay focused on the peak. Whatever that vision is, help others in our party, in our Mount Everest climb party along the way. So I hope you're ready to get started. I said we're at base camp right now. Before we start hiking, we have to become acclimated to the altitude, get our supplies in order, and get to know our fellow hikers, and rest before the journey. You don't start a Mount Everest climb just straight out of the gate and you don't have a centering. So that's what we're going to be doing in this first week, getting acclimated to this new altitude, this feeling of your vision and what that's going to look like, getting those supplies ready, getting to know each other. This is a journey, not a Star Trek episode where the captain says, "Beam me up, Scotty," and you're transported from base camp to the peak. This is going to be a long, slow burn. So if you're thinking that it's get rich quick process, lose 7 pounds in 7 days, you best back out now. This is going to be a year-long process, each week building on the next. So There's a gentleman by the name of Raymond Aron who wrote a book called Double Your Income Doing What You Love. And he used an example that I've been using for years, and that is the 1% shift. He uses the example of a motorboat. So imagine that you are in a motorboat and you're out in the ocean and you're going in the completely wrong direction. Instead of going north, you're going south. And in order to reach your destination, you obviously need to change direction, right? We need to change direction in this process. So how do you do that? This is the simplest thing I can share with you. You make a 1 degree shift. So if you've ever been on a motorboat and it has the motor in the back and it has a little rudder, you make a 1 degree shift using the rudder, and then another 1 degree shift, and eventually you're going to be going in the right direction, but you're going to be going so far in the right direction that you won't even believe what's happening for you. So we're going to make some 1 degree shifts every day, every week. And here's what too many other people do. They of course wait for the new year, because we're starting this in the new year, which is appropriate, but on January 1st, this is what people do. You might have recognized yourself in here. They want to change everything. Yep, they're Superman, and they're confident that they can change everything all at once. So they sign up for the gym, well, a premium membership, of course, with personal training, and they clear everything from their kitchen, take the cupboards and the refrigerators and clear them all out. There's only green stuff left. And they buy expensive workout gear. Oh my gosh, that's important because you got to get some good Lululemon. You have to get it from Lululemon to prove that you're working out, right? You sign up for the latest real estate course to get rich tomorrow. There's excitement, there's motivation. Yay! Then what happens? A few weeks later, the enthusiasm wanes and things are actually back to normal. And if you don't trust me, go to your gym during February. It's coming up. This is not like that. We are doing a 1%, 1 degree shift each week, but the momentum starts to build and build and build. And by week 16, you're a brand new person. And by week 50, I guarantee you, you are completely transformed in your life. And instead of making 25 changes all at once, we're going to do something new each week. And miracles are going to begin to happen if you stay the course. We're going to have 2 tracks. We're going to have health and wealth, and each of them have their own unique paths to follow. And you can jump on any track, but try not to hop in and out because you won't keep the focus. You're going to lose your momentum. And I talked about in my preview that there's another track called happiness. Well, frankly, that is the overriding track. The overall track is happiness for having health and wealth. You can't have any of those without happiness. And so we're going to call that our backpack hack. And I'm going to share about that in a moment. Happiness is not something you wait for. Happiness is something you create right now. So that's our first week, is creating this happiness. So we're at base camp. So what you think is going to happen, or your reasons for being here, will probably change and morph by the time we get to the top. People that start out on these treks going up to Mount Everest, they think they have an objective in mind, and it is completely different. And sometimes it's such a spiritual revelation, you don't even know that it's coming. So how do we do it? How do you awake extraordinary potential in your everyday life? What is possible for you? The first thing is to allow yourself to imagine and let go of whatever you've been told in the past of what you can or cannot do. That's out the window. That's probably a little easier said than done, and we'll have to talk about how we're going to practice that. I can say from my own personal experience and thousands of individuals who have followed these principles that this works if you work it. I sometimes refer to myself as the comeback queen because I don't always do this perfectly, trust me. But when I do it with focused intent, miracles happen. And boy, oh boy, have I had amazing miracles in my life. One thing I do know is life happens, and you can choose at any moment to redirect your course. And I'm going to share stories as we go through the program of how those miracles have shown up. But for now, let me just say that the thing I want you to grasp is that this is based in science, not speculation. Science, you say? That seems to be a word that's been thrown around quite a bit this year. So let's define science for a minute. Simply put, science is a body of knowledge and experimentation. The most interesting thing about science is that it's never finished. Never. Every discovery leads to more questions, new mysteries, to something else that needs explaining. We are never going to understand everything because there's too many things that we can't know right now. It's a case of the more we know, we know nothing at all, which I kind of like. Actually, I've been a scientist my whole life. What? What is a scientist? Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's an astrophysicist, he's a planetary scientist, he's an author, and he's a science communicator. He says this: a scientist is someone who questions authority, thinks for yourself, questions yourself, and then tests ideas by the evidence gained from observation. So what happens is you follow the evidence where it leads. And I promise you, if you try these techniques and these principles, you will see the evidence appear before your very eyes. Sometimes you might have to suspend your disbelief so that you don't question everything and you just trust the process. Because that's what scientists do. They trust the process and they let it take them where it's going to go. Because the earliest science can be traced back to ancient Egypt. Do you think the science of ancient Egypt is the same as today? No, because science is fluid and changing and morphing. What we knew in 20 years ago or 100 years ago is different than what we know now and what we'll know in another 20 years. So what have we learned from our science of today? And I'm not talking about the science that the media is talking about right now. The science that is at the forefront of every conversation. Follow the science. I'm talking about the science that's been left out of that conversation this year. And that's the science of epigenetics, molecular biology, neutron cardiology, and quantum physics. And a lot of what I share with you is based on those sciences and what has been discovered and continues to be discovered in those areas. Those things are changing and growing, expanding as well. But there are some really amazing components that have been discovered about how our lives unfold and how our brains and our bodies work. It's incredible. So some of you, I know you're falling asleep because it's science, right? I get that. Didn't really like science when I was growing up, but boy, do I love it now. It's time to wake back up. You want to experience amazing transformation, right? Well, I have good news and not so good news. You are completely responsible for what happens to you in your life, and you are completely responsible for what happens to you in your life. Good news, bad news. Nothing moves but mind. This is what's controlling everything. What the hell is she talking about? Nothing, absolutely nothing moves but your mind. You are mind in action. Your outward experience is your mind. So we live in a world of five senses, supposedly. Yeah, supposedly. Sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. But all of these are irrelevant without an interpretation of them. You can take any one of these senses and each of you has a different interpretation of the same event. For example, sound. I might hear rap and it hurts my ears and you love it. Touch. I might love having someone holding my hand and you can't stand intimate touching. I could go through all five senses, but you get the drift. These five sense experiences are determined by your mind, which interprets it, and then we have a reaction in thought and emotion. And here's where it gets tricky. Once we create the emotion attached to the experience, we create a pattern. Who you are at this moment in time is as a result of these patterns you have created over a lifetime. And if you choose to change who you are in any way, you must choose to change your mind first. Simple, right? Sounds really simple. Change your mind, change your thinking, change your life. Simple, very simple. Not so much. Changing your mind only allows you to see a different path, a new idea, a new way of being. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. So it's not just changing your outward actions. It is changing your thoughts and your feelings. The truth is that your thinking is what is causing your physical experience, not the other way around. What? This experience called life is a series of thoughts that you have encoded, and now you are living it over and over and over and over. So, what is the good news about this? The greatest asset you have is your mind. Let me repeat that. The greatest asset you have is your mind. Your mind. It is just a computer. So most, if not all of you, have a phone. You carry it around with you, right? This phone can do amazing things. Get you on the World Wide Web, take pictures, perform applications that are incredible. They're incredible processes, algorithms from Facebook, YouTube, Google, and who knows where else. This phone computer is even training you as we speak how to think and feel. You get me? How do I know that? Every time I look up something on the internet, I've got some kind of ad in front of me. This is what your mind has been doing your whole life as well. You program it, you tell it what you want or what you think you want, and then it keeps giving it to you. Technology is trying to recreate exactly how our mind functions. That's why they call it AI, because we're supposed to be intelligent, what we're doing with our mind, but we put them on autopilot. All too often, we are not much less robotic than a computer, trust me. You just don't realize it. You think you're making these choices and decisions on your own. So if we take this analogy and look at it this way, your phone would be your body. If you crack the screen of the phone, does it take away the supercomputer inside? No. Just like when you stub your toe or get cancer, your supercomputer brain does not stop working and can actually help in the healing process. That's its job. Our bodies are meant to heal themselves. Your program is set for you to heal yourself. We've cracked that screen a little too many times though. That's the one installed. That's the program that we have installed. And we've forgotten and we believe a lot of things that are causing our illnesses that we have no control over. So back to the phone. The programs are not even located in the phone, right? They're in the cloud somewhere. And so is your mind. Your thoughts are not your body. They're not your bank account. The phone is a vehicle for the operating system to work. The physical phone does not tell the program what to do. Just like your body, you've allowed your body to take over because of the download of the programs, but that's not the way it was intended. The programs tell the phone what to do? No, we don't want that. But we're letting that happen with our bodies. You are the master of the phone, and if you understand the applications or the processes you want to use on the phone, it's great. If you don't, just like the other day with technology I ran into, I was so super frustrated. But when you don't understand how your programs work, you get frustrated. And you wonder why this is happening to you. It's not happening to you, it's happening through you. You relate? Well, that's what's happening with our spectacular minds. Nothing in your experience happens without your mind. That sounds right, right? You're confused? No. Because we have believed for so long that it's the outside creating our experience when we're creating the experience out there. You program yourself to believe that your body is telling you how you should feel, and everything outside of you is telling you how to feel and act. There's just one problem. You've completely given away your programming and algorithm power. If you think about it, we sort of give that power away daily by paying attention to social media, ads that are put in front of our face just because we search something or even had a conversation about it. We definitely need our bodies to take the responsibility for a lot of things so we don't have to think about that, Breathing, for example. You don't want to have to think about breathing every day because you have other things to be paying attention to. You don't want to pay attention to your digestive system because you would like it to operate without you having to tell it what to do. And those are great processes to delegate through our supercomputer mind. We came kind of programmed that way. But you've allowed everything in your life to be that way. So here's that science part again. Everything you do has a neurological hard code in your brain. You have created thousands of little mini minds. You have a mini mind to drive your car, to take a shower, to brush your teeth, to sing, to listen to music. And over your lifetime, you created complex series of circuits because you've done something 1,000 times, and your brain takes over whenever you do them. Because you can't think about tying your shoes and riding your bike and driving your car every single time you do it. You delegate it into autopilot. But you do that with so many things. Driving a car is a great example of mindless mind, but we do it all day with everything. It's actually a form of hypnosis, if you will. I'm sure you've all had the experience where you're driving your car, you're lost in your thoughts, and you completely become unconscious that you've missed an off-ramp. Or you don't even know where the heck you are. That's your driving mind at work. Not to get too bogged down, but neurons are firing in your brain to process every single thing you do in life. And that's great, but you're giving away all of your control to this AI mind that you created. The funny thing is that technology has uncovered that this is how our minds work, and we now live in a world of AI. And basically, it's just replicating our brains. Basically, what is happening with technology is we are attempting to replicate what our mind already does. It wants to know what we want to do before we do it because it's already programmed that way. So when you wake up in the morning and you always have a cup of coffee, your mind already has that programmed in. You get up, you plod out to the kitchen, it does it on autopilot, it already knows that it wants a certain cup, where the coffee maker is. You basically reach for the coffee and you could be completely unconscious and have this go on. But the question is you ready to stop being artificial intelligence in your life and move into a greater experience where you get to choose your reality? That's what we're going to do. The one fundamental key ingredient is focus. Focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. When you hear yourself with these kinds of thoughts, wow, I can't pay those bills this month. These jeans are super tight. Every time my kid calls, it's a problem. And I could list chapters of things we say to ourselves that are reinforcing the AI beliefs that we have. So here's what I mean by focusing on what you do want. Let's say that you want to create more income in your business. First, you have to decide what more is. I'll get into that shortly. What does someone who has the income that you want and owns their own business think and feel like? They feel independent. They feel peaceful. They have a sense of financial freedom. They love their customers. You get the picture. Now, if you had thoughts like this on a daily basis, wow, this is never going to happen. It seems super hard. I tried before and had no customers. This will never work. I've read every book and taken every course imaginable. Does that sound like the person that is successful? No. You can't begin to think that way, but then that thinking creates an emotion that is downtrodden and is fearful and is unsuccessful, and you cannot create what you want from that space. So the first thing is you have to feel it first. You have to feel like that person before you get it. Otherwise, you will keep repelling it. So back to AI again, which is a great example of how this works, and it does it very, very, very well. It keeps bringing you back to what it believes you are seeking, right? Just think of when you Google search something, right? And then you see all of these ads, pop-ups come up from what you've just Googled. So does the AI keep putting in front of you a pink polka-dotted elephant sweater when you were searching for a yellow zebra pant? No, because it knows where your focus should be. It's something that simple, and we aren't even doing it. The artificial intelligence is doing it. It's putting in front of us everything we want to see or thinks we want to see instead of all of the nonsense that we keep seeing. So now it's your turn. Your focus has to be on what you want. And I'm going to say this always, 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 always. There are strategies and techniques to do this, and there will be lots of time to practice them, implement them, and become them. The other super ingredient is feeling. You cannot just think your way into this because your feelings have to come along with those thoughts. Your feelings are the most powerful energy in your existence. I'm going to say that again. Your feelings are the most powerful thing you have in your life. Your feelings create what gets hard-coded in the supercomputer called your mind. And we're going to talk about this extensively in the future. There's a chemical protein that is responsible for a healthy immune function, and it's called IgA. They've done a lot of studies on it, and it's, for now, let me just tell you, every time you raise your emotional state with love, joy, inspiration, gratitude, you increase this IgA in your body. So just by focusing on those things and feeling them, those feelings and those emotions, you increase your immune system. What? You get healthier just by that. I mean, step one is pretty easy. Just feel love and, wonderment and joy, gratitude. This step is so important. In this very first step, you want to supercharge your feelings and emotions of love and kindness and joy and expectation and health and wellness and abundance. Just feeling it is going to give you such a supercharge in this week. I can't even begin to tell you. Then get clear about what you would like to see in your life. How will that make you feel, and how will you be different than you are today? Just begin to imagine that stuff. This entire first week is about getting yourself prepared for this transformation. Who will you be? How will you show up in the world? How will that improve your life? How will you feel? Feel it. Who will you be with? What difference will you make in the world? Feel it. There are studies galore about how feelings create health or disease, because negative feelings create disease in your body, and they will stop or accelerate your abundance and wealth and health. It's amazing. And I'm going to share all of these ideas and all of this science and all of these techniques with you as we go along. But step one, get clear about what it is that you want. And step two, start feeling it as if it's happening right now. So you're going to spend 10 minutes 3 times a day this next week just imagining what your life will look like a year from now after this transformation. As you go throughout your day, just feel it for 10 minutes. Feel it. Notice it. And if you're acting as if those changes had taken place, what choices are you making? If you're not making the choices that you would be making, just notice it. How are you being incongruent with it? This is an observation week. Don't judge it. Don't question it. Just notice it. So, for instance, if you want to lose 20 pounds, you imagine yourself a year from now, each day this week, what choices are you making that are not in congruence with that outcome? Just notice it. If you'd like to own your own business, what behavior or choices are you making this week that are not in congruence with being a business owner? Which ones are you making that are incongruent? Where are your weaknesses? Just write them down. Think about them. It's about introspection this week. And you're going to see these little red shiny apples getting presented to you by a lime green snake as you go out through your week, I can assure you. They're going to try to draw you in. They might be considered devilish temptations, but they're distracting you. Where are you noticing these moments of courage when you're willing to give up some old behavior or an old idea to protect this new movement towards your good? Where did you notice that you were wanting to choose an old way even though it was challenging? You made a new choice. Give yourself a good attagirl or attaboy for that. What feelings of pain or regret are coming up? Find a way to write these things down. I use a computer. You can use a journal, a crayon book, or draw pictures. It doesn't matter. Whatever outlet you have that feels congruent for you, document what's happening. And just be aware, because awareness is power. And that's what we're going to do for this very first week at base camp. So I'll see you next week.